What is going on, y'all? It is the Caveman back at it again with another video. What a wild season it's been up to this point. Nothing's made sense. Nothing's been predictable. There's been so much wacky shit going down. And that leads to the question that we always ask ourselves about at this point during the NFL season. Who is leading the MVP race? And just like how we don't really have a best team right now, we really don't have a current MVP leader right now. There's just nobody standing out that much more from the rest of the crowd. And that begs the question that I will answer in this video. But of course, before we do any of that, you guys know the drill around here. Mott's applesauce, if you're ever hungry, thirsty, whatever it might be, Mott's applesauce will satisfy whatever satisfying you to satisfy you. The Caveman guarantee. I promise it will never fail you. Who will be the 2021 NFL MVP? My goodness, y'all, there really is not one MVP candidate right now that is separating themselves from the rest of the pack. And that's kind of impressive to say at this point in the NFL season. Some players have missed time. Some players have lost games that they shouldn't have. Some players are getting carried by the rest of their squad. Cough, Tom Brady, cough. I mean, there really isn't one singular human being stepping out from the rest. Before I give you my MVP candidates and ultimately tell you who I predict to come out with the award at the end of the year, I do want to say I think the NFL distributes the MVP award completely incorrectly and for the wrong reasons. And what do I mean by that? Well, the MVP award, it stands for most valuable player. I don't think the NFL really takes into account how literal most valuable player means. I think at the end of the day, they just kind of give the award out to the player with the prettiest stat sheet, when in reality, that doesn't mean that player was actually the most valuable to their team. And I think that's who the award should go to at the end of the day. There are players in the NFL that do not stand out on the stat sheet as much as other players, but their teams would absolutely sink without them. Their teams need them. And I feel like that is exactly how the award should be given out and distributed, when, like I said, in reality, it's just given out to the player with the best stat sheet. In the MVP, most valuable player, the phrase isn't taken as literally as it should. But that's just a side point. That's a conversation for another day. Right now, in this point in time, I think there are currently 4 NFL players that deserve to be up for the MVP award after 12 weeks of football. Not saying that can't change after the last 6 weeks, but as of right now, these are the 4 guys that I think deserve to be in the race. My first candidate, against my undying will, is Tom Brady. I mean, it's hard to admit, but you can't deny the facts. Sometimes the stats just talk way too much and you can't ignore them, and that's exactly what's going on here with Tom Brady. He's having one of the best seasons he's had in his entire career at 44 years of age. I mean, you just can't deny it sometimes. Let's talk about what Tom Brady has going for him in terms of the MVP award. Tom Brady is currently leading a Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster, which is a top 3 offense in the NFL. They currently sit at 8-3, third in the NFC. Tom Brady himself is leading the NFL in total quarterback touchdowns. He's also just 11 yards short of the NFL passing yards leader behind Derek Carr. Tom also happens to be top 4 in quarterback rating up to this point in the season. And as much as this might sound like a joke, it's really not. I mean, his name is Tom Brady. That will carry a long way in terms of his chances at winning this award. He's the poster boy of the NFL. That just helps his chances tenfold in winning this award. And as for Brady's cons, well, there really are not many of them, because if there were, he wouldn't be on this list in the first place. Tom Brady has thrown 9 interceptions on the season, which is not a pretty number, but actually is the lowest interception count that we'll see on this whole list. Not to mention, Tom Brady has suffered 2 brutal losses to 2 different backup quarterbacks in Trevor Siemian and Taylor Heinicke in both games against the Saints and the Washington football team. I am a big advocate in saying that wins don't count as a quarterback stat, and therefore losses don't count as a quarterback stat, but that win-loss record for a given team for that player certainly plays a factor into the MVP voting, so I am absolutely going to include it here. Not to mention, the dude is surrounded by an offensive cast that is probably the best in the entire NFL, and he's surrounded entirely by a roster that is probably the best in the NFL, or at least second best behind the Rams. So you'd like to think somebody you consider the greatest of all time is able to put up some impressive numbers with, arguably the most talented roster in the NFL. So I hold that against him. I guess it depends on who you talk to, whether or not they hold that against him too. But I do. It's my video. You can't change that. Black. My next MVP candidate is Josh Allen. Not because I'm a Bills fan, but because I actually have probable cause and he's actually having a better season than everybody wants to give him credit for. Let's talk about Josh Allen's resume. Let's check out the pros first. He is currently 6th in passing yards with 3,071. He is 2nd in the NFL when it comes to quarterback touchdowns. He is also 3rd in total rushing yards for quarterbacks in the entire NFL. And this is a stat that really gets me, and which is why I also think he should have been MVP last year. But that's another conversation. Josh Allen accounts for 30% of the Buffalo Bills rushing yard production. 30% of the Bills rushing yards come from Josh Allen. 25% of our rushing touchdowns have also come from Josh Allen. Josh Allen is our offense, people. All while doing this behind arguably one of the worst, most injured offensive lines in all of football. Our offensive line has been nothing short of pathetic. They have been, at best, middle of the pack. At their best, they have been middle of the pack this season. Other than that, if they've been hurt, if we had to shift it around at any point, which we've done a lot this season, they've been probably bottom 10. I mean, Josh Allen, he's doing a lot right now, and people don't want to give him credit for that. Let's talk about his cons. Josh Allen has 10 interceptions. He threw 2 pretty brutal ones this past week against the Saints. One, not really his fault. The other one, that was bad. And like I said earlier, I don't think wins and losses really indicate how well a quarterback is playing. But unfortunately, when it comes to the MVP award, I know for a fact they consider that team's record tremendously. So Josh Allen is currently 7-4 with the Buffalo Bills. And that doesn't sound horrible, but considering the context and how we lost to the Colts and how we lost to the Jaguars, I mean, it's not good. And we let the division slip to the New England Patriots currently. That could change, but right now, that's the fact of it. Third MVP candidate is nobody other than Patrick Mahomes. He definitely did not start off the season too hot, but I think the way things have been trending for him, I think he definitely deserves to be in this race. What does Mahomes have going for him? Well, Mahomes is 5th in passing yards, currently 4th in total touchdowns for quarterbacks, and he's helped his team come back from a 3-4 record to start the season all the way up to a 7-4 record, reclaiming the AFC West, which in my opinion is the 2nd hardest division in all of football. And as for the cons regarding Patrick Mahomes, well, that interception number just keeps climbing as it went with 9 with Brady, 10 with Allen, and now 11 with Patrick Mahomes. He's been better as of late. He hasn't been throwing as many interceptions, but to begin the season, he was a hot mess. Not to mention that he has been a part of 2 blowout losses. The Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion, have been blown out in 2 different games. One against the Buffalo Bills, which I think was an 18-point difference, and the Tennessee Titans, I don't even remember what the difference was, but they got decimated. In my final MVP race candidate as of week 12, we have Jonathan Taylor. I don't think much needs to be explained as to why. It's pretty self-explanatory. Jonathan Taylor has been an absolute menace to the NFL if you're any other team but the Indianapolis Colts. The dude is on a tear. JT's resume is kind of pretty. He leads the NFL in rushing yards, rushing touchdowns. He also happens to be tied for 1st in yards per carry in the NFL. Jonathan Taylor is also 6th in the NFL in running back receiving yards, and he also happened to have a 5-touchdown showing against my Buffalo Bills. That one hurt, but nevertheless, it happened. As for the cons for Jonathan Taylor, well, one, he's a running back, so that's automatically putting him at a disadvantage. And the second thing is, he does have one of the best offensive lines in football when it's completely healthy and those 5 guys are all in front of him. That is, you could hold that against him, just kind of like how I held Tom Brady's supporting cast against him. I somewhat am going to hold that against Jonathan Taylor because I do think if you put like a Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry back there, they would have similar success to Jonathan Taylor. But unlike Brady, I'm not going to hold this nearly as much against Jonathan Taylor because he's still doing a majority of what he's doing on his damn own. And, the final con is that he's a running back. I'm not sure if I mentioned that one, but yeah, he's a running back, so he's just automatically probably not going to be in the running for this award, which is completely stupid, but that's just how it works. So people are going to be wondering, oh, where's Aaron Rodgers? Where's Kyler Murray? Where's Lamar Jackson? Where's Derek Carr? Where's Matthew Stafford? Well, to that, I say Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray have both missed time. I don't think Derek Carr is going to have the team success later down the line to be considered for this award. Matthew Stafford just happened to throw 3 pick-sixes in the last 3 games, and Lamar Jackson just solidified himself in the top 2 for interceptions thrown this year after he threw 4 against the Cleveland Browns. So all those guys are disqualified for me as of right this second. So who do I think is going to be taking home the MVP award this year out of those 4 candidates that I just listed? Well, if you couldn't tell by my bandana colors, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go with Patrick Mahomes for the second time in his short career. And let me tell you why I exclude the other three. Jonathan Taylor, he's a running back. That's enough of a reason why he's not gonna win this award. Now, I'm not the one that makes the rules. I'm not the one that votes. I think it's stupid, but that automatically disqualifies him. He'd have to have 30 touchdowns and 2,500 rushing yards to even be considered. So he's out. Josh Allen and the Bills, I think they're gonna turn things around, but unfortunately, I think due to that Trey White injury and other things going on with the offensive line, I'm not sure if the team success is going to be there as much as it's going to be there for, the Buccaneers or the Chiefs later down the line. Also, unfortunately for Josh Allen, his name does not fit the big major narrative that the NFL wants to continue to push. And that leaves us with the two guys that do fit the NFL narrative that they want to push to the public that makes them so much money. The baby Yoda against Yoda. The young goat against the goat. Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. If they can push a narrative anymore, it would be this one, and they're going to do it in whatever way they can. Mahomes has the opportunity at hand to turn what looked like a long-lost garbage season that was sent down the drain for the Kansas City Chiefs and turn it into a season that is all of a sudden where they're the number one seed, where they're the favorites again, to kind of just flip it all back on its head to the way it was supposed to be. The possibility of the Chiefs taking home the number one seed in the AFC is growing week after week as game after game they continue to win and AFC rivals like the Buffalo Bills and the Tennessee Titans continue to lose. And it doesn't matter if you think that the Chiefs defense has been playing better or the offensive line has been playing better for the Chiefs, and those are the reasons why the Chiefs have been playing better as of late. The credit is going to go to Patrick Mahomes. 95% to 100% of the credit of the Chiefs turning shit around as of late is going to go to that kid. It just is. And that's going to be a big narrative pusher for him winning the MVP award. I guarantee it. Yeah, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be your 2021 NFL MVP for the second time in his short career. Maybe Josh Allen will take one home. Maybe it'll be this year. Who knows what can change with the 7 final weeks of the NFL. If you enjoyed the video, as always, please like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. You want to hit the bell to be notified when I upload. I would appreciate that. You want to go over to Twitter, follow me over there. I'd appreciate that as well. I'm a part of the Built in Buffalo content creation team. If you enjoy Buffalo Bills content, be sure to follow and subscribe to us on any social medias you might have. And I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.